in the online environment. And to top it off, to be able to work in between. All right. So, Jared, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Hi, everyone. Great to meet with you. Um, I just love seeing where everyone's from, so thank you for sharing that with us. So personalized learning is a buzzword. We hear it all the time, especially in my circles. But oftentimes we use personalized learning and we say we need to do it, but we don't say what it is exactly. And so when we say personalized learning, we know that there are 4 dimensions of personalized learning, that we need to provide students with some choice in their place of learning, their time of learning, the time of day that they're learning, or the time of week that they're learning, the pace of their learning, how quickly they'll go through the material or how slowly they can go through the material, and their path of learning, which means giving students some choice in not only how they learn, but how they demonstrate their learning. So in the next slide, we see that when COVID-19 hit, when the pandemic hit, everyone had to focus on place. We had to social distance. And so we couldn't meet in a classroom anymore. And so we had to provide students with some personalization in their place of learning. Specifically, they had to learn from home and teachers had to teach from home as well. And the next slide, we can see, we had all these tools to kind of help us. So the good news is students could learn from home, teachers could teach from home. Thankfully, we had tools like Zoom or Google Meet or Blackboard Collaborate or many, many other types of tools that we had that we could freely use for the most part. And we could have some sort of continuance of our teaching and learning experience. The bad news was also students had to learn from home. While we would have loved to meet with them to give them more choice in the place of their learning, we couldn't. They had to learn from home. And we have to remember that each student has their own situation. So Joan shared that beautiful picture of the quilt and everyone is smiling and happy and everything. But in reality, when we look at each student's home environment, it is not that glowing and isn't always that happy. So this is one Facebook post that I saw a while back of a mom, and she took a picture of her son in a Zoom call or a Zoom class, and he was crying. He was very frustrated because he didn't feel like he could do it. He couldn't keep up. Things were going too quickly for him. And this isn't to say that students wouldn't cry in an in-person class. I guarantee you, kids cry all the time in in-person courses, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that if we're only personalizing the place of learning, it's going to be a frustrating experience. So on the next slide, just to reemphasize that, we need to focus on place during the pandemic, giving students choice and personalization, but we need to do much more than that when we're talking about personalized learning. So the next slide. Of the 4, let's first talk about place, time, and pace. So let's take a moment to talk about giving students choice in their time of learning and their pace of learning. So think of the upper picture there. When we teach in person, we do not provide them any personalization really in their place, time, or pace. But with Zoom, we do give them some personalization in their place of learning, but not their time and commonly not their pace of learning either. So one thing that we commonly do is when we're in a Zoom call, we hit record. Emily's doing that right now. We are recording this session. Or if we're teaching in class and students can't come, we can record those classes. And so we can see in the next slide that we can get these videos, right? And we can send those videos off to people. But I guarantee you, if you send your student an hour-long video or even longer of a Zoom call, no matter how entertaining you are, it's going to be really hard to watch. So yes, technically we are giving them some personalization in their time and pace, but how engaged are students really going to be? How motivated are they really going to be to watch those really long videos? So we have lots of research to show that you might think your videos are really great and engaging, but we know that students watch about 6 to 10 minutes at most. And after 6 to 10 minutes, there's a huge drop off on student participation and engagement during those videos. There are some things that you can do to make your videos more engaging. So rather than just recording, your hour-long Zoom call, you can do brief summaries of what was covered in those Zoom calls. I used to do this when I taught ninth grade, 14-year-olds. I would teach during the day, and then at the end of the day, I'd just make really short videos for those kids that weren't there. So they're more engaging when you combine video of the instructor with the slides, and we'll show you lots of ways to do that. To show the instructor in personal settings, so we'll talk about that as well, and show the instructor writing and drawing. And then lastly, to speak with enthusiasm. I can't overemphasize that. If you sound bored, your students are going to be bored, right? So in the next slide, we see that there are lots of tools that you can use. Maybe some of you are using other tools that you want to share in the chat box. These are the three that are the most common. They are free. Right now, Loom has a really great free account. In fact, they got rid of their pro paid account and made that free. And so that's a great tool. Screencast-O-Matic's great, Screencastify. But all of these tools have similar features in that you can record just of the webcam that you can see in the top GIF there of me, or you can record only your screen that we see in the second, or in the last one, you see that there's a small webcam video of me in the corner, right? So that's also a common feature where you can combine what's on your screen, which might be slides, or you might be showing them something or doing something, or you can just record that, or you can have a webcam video of yourself speaking during that time. And we know from the research, if they can see you, it's more engaging for them. So I just want to reiterate or emphasize that a video is good, but a video will never replace a teacher, right? At the same time, a teacher, being able to be in person with a teacher or in a Zoom call with a teacher does not replace the need for a video. Both do really powerful things. A teacher is not going to be able to personalize a student's time and pace of learning because they can't be there all the time, but a teacher can make a video that can be on demand whenever the student needs it, and they can rewatch it over and over and over again. I also want to emphasize in the next slide that a book is still really important. Even if you have a video and a teacher and all that stuff, a book is so important, and a book isn't going to replace the need for a teacher or video either, and a teacher and a video doesn't replace the need for a book at the same time. So the question is, if we know that a teacher, videos, books, kind of traditional materials are important, how do we combine them to give students the best learning experience and to allow them to really personalize their place, time, and pace of learning?
All right, so I'm going to give you a few examples. So this first example would be to use video for a warm-up activity. So perhaps you're starting a new unit, and in this case, I'll give an example. This is a unit about fresh food. All right, and so perhaps you are going to have your students learn some new vocabulary about different types of food in a garden, fresh food. You could create a video that would help to create interest so that even when students are by themselves doing their book work, studying from their book, they can also get engaged with the topic.
Hi everyone. I'm taking you outside to my garden because I want to show you something special that I'm growing in here. Are you ready to take a look? Okay, let's take a look. Ooh, what do you see here? Can you see that? Okay, so what vegetable am I growing?
Okay, so it creates a little interest. I'm not sure if you could hear, but my dog was right next to me sniffing as I was trying to lift the plant to show you. And Just by the way, what vegetable am I growing there? Could you see? It is one of the ones that is pictured in the book. All right, I see some of you got it right. It's an eggplant. Okay, so once they get ripe, I think I'll make some baba ganoush. All right, so it's a way to create a video so that when your students are actually doing some of the work at home in their own time, in their own space, they can also still feel a connection to you, and you're kind of warming them up to get them excited about studying about fresh food. All right, here's another example I want to give you. And so this one shows you how to use a new feature that they have in Zoom. And it's supposed to really help you to engage your learners. Let's take a look. Hi, I'm going to show you how to use a new feature in Zoom that can help you make your videos more exciting. You can actually become a part of a story or a presentation. Let me show you how it works. First, you got to start with a PowerPoint presentation. So you could put pages of your story or book on the PowerPoint, or even design slides that you want to become a part of. So to show you how it works, I'm going to open up Zoom, and I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger so you can see it nice and clearly. So first, you have to share screen. So down at the bottom, click on share screen. And then instead of choosing a basic screen, you can click on advanced. And on advanced, you can choose slides as virtual background. So when I click on share down there, it'll take me to my files, so I can choose, in this case, my Zoom demonstration PowerPoint that I made just for this. And here you are. And take a look. Here, I'm part of my presentation. So I can move myself around. I can make myself bigger, or I can make myself smaller. I can move myself so that I can even be a part of the story and say, oh, this story is called The Toys. I can move myself down here. So I can say, oh, by Jill Corey O'Sullivan. And what is this next to me? What is this? What's this? This is a robot. And this robot is a toy. Okay, so I can click here to move to the next slide and tell my story. Look, she's home. Oh no! Where is Car? Hmm. Is Car over here? Hmm. No. Is Car up here? No. Is Car over here? Here's Car. Okay, so you can easily become part of your story like this, or maybe you're going to do a reading and an exercise in your textbook. You can also become part of the reading. This one is about amazing rainforest. So I'm going to be up here to read about the emergent part of the rainforest up here. So this is about emergent. In this part, you can see the tops of the very tall trees. Then when I go to the next part, I can go down to the canopy. All right, so this is a way that you can make things a lot more fun and engaging, and I can make myself bigger here so that I can tell you great job. So I hope this is helpful to you, and try using the new feature on Zoom to engage your students and become part of your presentation. All right. So I hope you found that useful. You got to find those creative ways to engage your learners, and you can do a recording of it. You could even do that live as well. Now, I've got another example for you. In this example, let's say you are trying to make sure your students understand a writing assignment. Okay, so you're going to go over the answers to an activity, the model for reading, and then explain the rubric. Okay, this is something that if you give your students, of course, they can watch it again and again, and you can refer to it so that they know what the assignment is and what your expectations are. Okay, so take a look. I'm giving it to you kind of in the middle after explaining the reading. Gone over what a product review is, and we've looked at this model, and we've underlined the parts that make this a good product review, where you are expressing your opinion about the good and bad points about the product. Now I'm going to introduce you to the rubric. Now this looks like rubrics we've used before, and I'm going to use it to assess your product review. So notice the number system with 4 being excellent, 3 good, 2 needs improvement, and 1 redo, which you're familiar with. But notice that I've added an extra line at the bottom for the product review requirements. So you need to make sure that when you're expressing your opinion about the product you choose, you need to have examples of what's good and bad, and use appropriate adjectives to describe what's good and bad. And I'll just point out a couple more things. So with writing, of course, as usual, your ideas need to be clear and well organized. And we talked about that with the product review and the model. For grammar, please use the grammar point we learned about in this unit, will and going to talk about the future. And then for vocabulary, please use a variety of word choices, including words used in this unit. We need to make sure you have plenty of opportunities to practice the new vocabulary. Okay, so I look forward to getting your product reviews, and if you have any questions, please All email me.
right.
me. So I used Loom, which was one of the suggestions that Jared had, in order to do a screen capture of what I had on my screen. And then I could narrate it to help students know what the expectations were for the writing assignment. So use these tools and you can communicate with your students, and they can utilize those videos over and over if they need to. All right, Jared.
I especially love that last video because you saw that she was showing a picture from the book. She made a video of it. But at the end, she also said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help you, you know? And so it's a great example of combining all three of what we're talking about. You can get really creative. So I know some of you don't have access to Zoom. That was using the tool in a creative way. But I think that more importantly, if you don't have access to it, just be playful. Try to figure out what to do with what you have. This is a great example. I think all of us have these phones in our pockets, you know, they're becoming more and more common. And you can get a stand that kind of holds up that phone, and then you can write on a piece of paper and make really engaging videos. No, you can notice that she's mic'd up, so she plugged in her microphone in the phone like that. I also had a teacher that I work with create this video on the next slide. And he was an art teacher, but he just set up a very simple setup, as you can see, and it turned into a really effective video. So we'll just watch a few seconds of it.
Leg and come in and add the feet.
So obviously he's teaching art, but you can do the same
I'll come
thing
back and look at the
with teaching
arms.
English or any subject, really.
Upper arm.
And it turns into a really engaging video. I asked him how much that stand cost, and he said $30. He purchased it online. And I thought, oh, $30. I wonder if I can do it for $0. So I found a stack of books and put them up there. And then I took my phone and I propped it up with the bookend, and I hit record, and I could write, and it recorded, and it worked beautifully for no money at all, right? So the point is, you can be really creative and innovative of what you do, even with very limited resources. So the other thing I want to say is, it's so easy to hit record and start speaking, but there are some do's and don'ts that we want to talk about, especially if you're showing yourself. We know that showing yourself is really important, but you want to present yourself in a good way. So here's some don'ts. Let's start with some don'ts. The first one I call the silhouette. If you're sitting in front of the primary light source, oftentimes a window. Jonah's doing that now, but it's dark. It's totally fine. But if it's too bright, they can't actually see you. You'll end up looking like a silhouette or a shadow. And the next one, I call the zebra. This happens to me all the time because I have blinds in front of me. I'm sitting in front of the window, but the light comes in, and if I'm not careful, all the shadows and light look really funny on my face. Sometimes I create videos late at night. It's late at night here where I'm at, and you'll notice that I've got lots of lamps all over the room. I think I've got 5, 6 lamps in this room, so I don't look like the creep here. Sometimes we can get really close to the camera, which is probably too close for comfort. At the same time, we don't have to be a social distancer online. We don't have to be so far away. Try to record about arm's length away from the camera. My favorite is a nosy professor. So we love laptops, and oftentimes we're working with the laptops on our laps. And when we do that and we're recording videos, we're giving our students a look straight up our nostrils. So avoid that. Put it on a desk, and if you need to, prop it up. Or the opposite is also true. If you have a large monitor, sometimes you're looking up at it, and that doesn't look good either. Or if you have 2 screens, oftentimes you're looking at the other screen, especially in a live video call, when you really should be looking at the webcam. We want to be prepared. Sometimes we write a script or some things that we want to say, but if you're constantly looking down and reading, then that's a problem as well, because you're not paying attention to them. It looks like you're not interested in them. And so we really want to maintain that eye contact on the camera. The other thing is, pay attention to your background. If it's totally blank, you kind of look like you're being held a hostage with no identifying information in the room, so they can't identify where you're at. And we're just waiting for you to look both ways and whisper into the camera, help me get out of here. Or sometimes we're very smiley, we're happy, and then we look for that record button and we look really mad and upset until we find it, right? So keep that smile on until the end of the video. So now we talked about what not to do. Let's talk about what to do. There's 6 keys to quality videos. One, we already talked about, keep it short. We saw Joan's videos. They're very short, very effective, and you're going to maintain students' attention. If you need to break it up in different videos, do it. Voice is really important. Audio, if you have poor audio, students are not going to watch it. In fact, the audio in many ways is more important than the video. If you have poor video, it's still watchable if you sound good, right? So look for microphones. I have these pods in my ears, but at the same time, before these, I use really cheap earbuds that had a microphone on the wire, and that worked really well too. So the other thing is, find the light and sit in front of it. You want the light, most of the light in the room shining on your face and not behind you. You want to frame yourself and maintain eye contact, which you already talked about. And it's really important to stage the background just slightly. Can you see my daughter's lovely art there? I was creating a video and I realized, oh no, I'm creating a hostage video. I need some color in the background. So I went through my daughter's art portfolio and I stuck it on the wall, right? So that's for your viewing pleasure. And it does add some personality to your background. So, okay, do we know Kermit the Frog? If you don't, you're going to learn about him. We can learn from the background that he likes bugs. He has a bug collection. He has a typewriter. He has cameras that, so he's into photography. We see a picture of his friends on the wall. Kermit is actually really good at telling you about himself without saying a word, right? And on the next slide, this is somebody that I really respect. He's a great professor. I see him at conferences and I feel like I know a lot about him. And then I watched one of his videos and I realized, oh, I didn't know he was in Minecraft. He has a Minecraft sword. Oh, I didn't realize that he biked to work. You know, so you can kind of look around. He also has a microwave and fridge in his office, which also tells me he probably should get out of the office a little bit more. You know, so we tell a lot about ourselves just with what's in the background. This one I thought was great. This is definitely staged. Um, this is a librarian showing her interest in the Harry Potter books. This is me. So I'm in my office right now, but I thought, oh, I was making this video and I wanted it to look a little bit better. So I went downstairs and I staged this so you can see some of the books that I like. I have a book of London and Florence and places I've been. You can see my family in the background, some other books that I like. And that plant doesn't live there. That's from another room, but I took 2 minutes to bring it in just to make it feel a little bit better in that space. And on the next slide, you can actually see what I did. In order to have eye contact, I needed to prop my laptop up, or I was going to be looking down at the camera. And so I just took the chessboard and some other kids' toys, and I put it under the laptop. I had some lamps, put it in there, and it worked out really well. So a question about with Zoom, you can have these virtual backgrounds, which I actually like, but at the same time, oftentimes I'm just curious, where are you? You know, like you can show your interest in those virtual backgrounds, but I wouldn't use them all the time, and I would kind of use them when you need to. The other thing, the last part is really important. We want to be natural, not perfect. We want to show our personality, and when we speak, we're going to make mistakes, and that's normal. And oftentimes when people are creating videos for the first time, they get so hung up on the mistakes that they re-record and re-record and re-record until they're so frustrated. They're like, I don't care anymore. Just put it online. I'm done. Don't do that. Do one, maybe two shots if you really need to, but just be natural. That's what your students want.
Okay, so I know we definitely want things to be natural, but maybe if you're not used to making videos, you might feel a little pressure and feeling like it needs to be perfect, or you want to make sure that you remember to say all the points that you wanted. So, there's some different tips that I have for you. So first, you could just put a little post-it right by the webcam like you see there, just a little post-it reminder of the things that you want to remember to talk about. Or you could use an online teleprompter, and there are a bunch of free ones. This is one that you could use, and let me show you how it works. So if you want to use a teleprompter, okay, you just cut and paste or type in the text, click prompt, and then it begins. And then you can just read it. Hi, my name is Joan Shin, and I'm from George Mason University. I'm really excited to show you how to make professional, natural looking videos. Now, if I were setting this up on my own laptop, I would move that text to be as high as I could, as close to the webcam as possible. And sometimes I actually put the teleprompter on my laptop and then I use a video recorder. I just record a video here and I prop it up. I have my little corgi popper here, and I just prop it up right onto my webcam, and then I record it from there. And so that's another way you can do that. There are also teleprompters that you can get straight on your phone. Okay, so this is one that I made using Teleprompter, which is an app here. And first, let me just show you the video.
Hi, my name is Joan Shen, and I'm from George Mason University. I'm really excited to show you how to make professional, natural-looking videos. It will help you feel more confident making videos for your students.
All right. So all I did was I just opened up this app, right? And put in the script, okay, that I don't know if you can see it here, but I put the screenshot right here. So you put in the text, hi, my name is Joan Shin, blah, blah, blah. And then when you are done and you click start, it just scrolls up and it creates the video that you just saw, where it looks like you're looking right into the webcam and you don't have to worry about forgetting anything that you wanted to say. So hopefully that's a really good tip for you. And then once you gain more confidence, maybe you can feel free to be more natural and don't do the scripts. It just depends on what kind of video it is, right? Because if you have very important information that you need to make sure is said perfectly correctly for your students, use a teleprompter.
The other thing is that we are working from home. So someone said, I live in I work in a small space with other people, and there's going to be disruptions. Embrace it. That's totally fine. Um, Sometimes we get really nervous, like, oh no, like they saw my cat jump on my shoulder or something. That's fine. Kids like that. Or students will like that. They see you in a different light. And here in this picture, I love how organized this teacher is, but at the same time, she has a baby that works at her feet or that's kind of sleeping by her feet while she's teaching. And I guarantee you that baby is going to make some disruptions, and that's okay. We have to realize that we have our personal world and our work world are in the same room sometimes, and they're bound to bump into each other. The other thing is, I love this example because similar to the video Joan showed of her garden, here's a teacher in a grocery store, and let's watch the video that she made.
Oh, it's recording. So I found some more unit rate guides. Isn't that cool? If you go to the deli, you can see how much everything costs per pound. So if you buy some deli meat, which I think we did we have some in the cart? All right, so you can see we bought some. I know it's backwards, but the total cost was $4.43, but we only got.
But you can see that she was natural. She was recording with her phone, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was recording," and she just went with it. Hello, how's it going? She didn't try to be perfect. It was kind of a bumpy camera shot. She was kind of all over the place, but it was really good. Like I think that's a great video, and so it's a good example of our goal is not to be perfect, but to be natural. And this same teacher, she had some fun with some Snapchat filters as well. So she really enjoyed herself in the videos that I want to show you here.
There's so many different kinds of numbers, guys. 1, 2, 3, 3,000. I can go all the way up to infinity. How many different numbers can you think of?
I think it's great. Just have fun. If you're having fun, your students are going to have fun, and it's going to be much more engaging. Okay, so we talked about videos, but at the same time, maybe we need a platform. So what are some pivot-ready platforms that we can use to personalize students' learning? So I'm gonna highlight Google, but there's lots of other tools. Maybe your school has something or your university has something. Or if you just Google it or search it online, then you should find something. But let me show you some really quick examples. So here's an example of a Google Classroom where you can see that he was able to order lots of different learning materials for students to click through. And it's really robust. You can put in lots of different things in these platforms. In the next slide, we can see that you can even add these little icons to cue learners in and what type of activity they're going to be doing. And then in the next slide, you can see a teacher just created a website, really simple website. And now, 10, 15 years ago, you needed to know HTML code to create a website. And now you don't. It's so simple to create websites with certain tools that are free. If you don't want to create a website, maybe you just want to create documents. And so even in documents, you can have really great directions and activities and places for students to respond and to interact. So now that we talked about place, time, and pace, let's talk about personalizing students' learning path. And as a reminder, path is giving students choice in how they learn, but also how they demonstrate their learning. And in my opinion, this is one of the most important things. You kind of need to do the other three things to get here, but once you're here, this is where a lot of the magic happens.
Yes, that's true. And when you give students choice, then it's also a great way for you to differentiate instruction. And the idea with differentiation is you're trying to create learning experiences that promote success for all learners. And so that's one of the benefits to doing that, this personalization and giving choice. And of course, when students have choice, it means that they're going to be more motivated in your classes and more engaged in the learning. And that's what we're trying to achieve. And then to top it off, another level that you can think of with student choice is that we're really preparing our students for life in the real world, or for their future, or for being able to go out in real situations and learn how to make good choices. And it all starts in the classroom. So many benefits to it. And I was just wondering about you. What kinds of choices do you give your students in your class? What do you do to give your students choice? I'm taking a look at the chat box. Okay, make sure you click on all panelists and attendees so everybody can see your ideas. So with readers, with breakout rooms, a choice in presentation topic, the games, projects, or how they turn in activities. Okay, so working in teams. Okay, I see lots of ideas here. Oh, they can choose the way that they present their projects, jigsaw activities. All right, so you're doing a lot to give your students choice. Now, one thing I want you to think about though, with whatever you put in the chat box or whatever you're thinking about here, is whether or not the choices you're giving your students are more teacher-directed choices, or are they truly student-centered choices? Because there's sort of a continuum of the choices that your students make in the classroom. So what do you think about some of the ideas that we talked about? Because if it's more teacher directed, it might look like, okay, you can do it this way or that way. Okay, so we're going to do a project. Okay, you can make a poster or you can make a PowerPoint presentation, this or that. All right, or is it truly student-centered choices where they have the ability to decide maybe all of the different aspects of personalization that we talked about, right? So the path, but also maybe some of the other aspects of time and place and pace. Okay, let me give you an example. All right, so here is an activity that it's a video, okay, and it's about the leopard seal. And I'll just pull open so you could see what the assignment is. So after you watch about this video, which is really cool because this leopard seal actually looked like it was going to attack the underwater videographer, and then in fact tried to feed him a penguin. So uh, here are the different choices. And this is the activity in the book. Okay, so what you might be working with is a textbook, and you are following it on the page, and these are the activities. So you could choose to work independently to research leopard seals, learn about their role, la la la, and then prepare a short presentation to share with the class. Okay, or two, you could work in pairs and compare and contrast a leopard seal with another misunderstood animal from this unit. So there were other misunderstood animals, right? Like a vampire bat. So you could make a Venn diagram to show the two animal similarities and differences, or you could work in groups. Okay, so a lot of people consider the leopard seal dangerous, deadly predator. So you're going to create an ad to educate people about the leopard seal and persuade them to change their opinion about it. Okay, so you might, knowing your students, okay, so sometimes teachers will make the first choice for students, okay, because they know it's an online environment, it's going to be hard to work in groups maybe, so I'm just going to give them a choice to work independently, to do the research and present, or work in pairs, okay? That's one way. Or we can open it up and we can think about all three of these different activities and how we might consider giving our students more choice. So those are the activities. These are set up in order to help the teacher give students an opportunity to meet those unit objectives, right? So let's take a look at the three of them. Now, if you were at part 1 of our webinar series, then you would have learned about RAT. Okay, and so RAT stands for replaces, amplifies, and transforms. If you were not at the first presentation, don't worry, okay, just follow along. So first, we're going to think about, okay, if we have a face-to-face class where students would maybe create a poster and then present, okay, create a Venn diagram and then present it in class, we might just replace it simply with technology. So the R might be, okay, you're going to actually have them do the same thing, make a poster, draw a Venn diagram, and then they share it at the next Zoom session, right? Synchronously, like you would in class. Okay. Or you might have them make the poster. So it's essentially the same activity, make the Venn diagram or draw an advertisement and then record a presentation of it and post it. All right. Or we can use technology to amplify this activity to do something that maybe you couldn't do just in an in-person class. So in this case, we're going to create something electronically and then post it in the learning management system, whatever it is your school uses. So you instead prepare a PowerPoint presentation, record audio narration and post it. Okay, and so that's a way you could do it, or use Google Drawings to draw an advertisement and record the presentation using Loom, like I did in my video, and post. Or transform the activity completely to where you're still meeting the lesson objectives, but it's a totally different activity. So you could create a Nat Geo like video about leopard seals and upload to the class YouTube channel. That will remain private. Okay, and so in this case, you can also even create a video ad for TV or social media and upload to YouTube. All right, so using this, then you could create a whole choice board. And this is from just your 3 choices in your book, where you give your students options because maybe they have different levels of access to technology. Maybe they have different levels of access to the different materials. Maybe they are at different levels of proficiency and one of the activities is more demanding than the other. So you can give them all these choices that will help them to accomplish the activity. And by the way, I'm thinking about this in an online environment, but we can think about this in a blended environment as well. Jared, did you want to explain this choice board? This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so the teacher that we saw in the grocery store, I was talking with her, and she also found this activity online that she adapted. Flat Stanley is a popular book. My daughter was just reading it, where the boy gets crushed or flattened by a bulletin board in school, and it's flat. So what she did is that she had students print off a picture of her and as the flat McLaughlin, Miss McLaughlin, and then do certain activities. They had lots of choices to do with her, and then they would take a photo of themselves doing the activity with flat Miss McLaughlin, and then submit it to her. And so what she saw was a variety of different things. If you're a teacher and students are all submitting the same thing to you, that's not fun for you either, right? But then you know that you're not providing students with personalization in their path. And so, but if you get lots of student personality and different types of projects, and you know that you're personalizing their path.
I absolutely love this activity so much. Brings me back to the days of Flat Stanley. All right, so sometimes students don't know what to do with so many choices. Okay, so it depends on how much choice you really were giving students or what they're used to, even in their other classes. And so one thing that's a good idea to help them make good choices is to do a think aloud, where you model this process of making the decisions out loud for students. And it will help you to model your expectations, model language use, as well as model that process of making choices. So if I were to go back to this choice board and think aloud, I might say, well, I love animals and I really want to protect animals. And I saw in our video that some people think leopard seals are deadly. So I want them to understand. And so I'm going to choose an ad to try to educate people about leopard seals. But my parents don't let me use their computer a lot. So I really can't just sit and make a whole video. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my ad and I'm going to prepare what I'm going to say for a presentation. And then I'm going to ask my mom if she can use her phone to make a video of me presenting the poster. Okay, so you walk them through, think aloud, show them how to make a good decision for them. All right, guys, so we're at the end of our time. And I just wanted to pose this question again. Are you pivot ready? Do you feel ready to be able to go back and forth and to really amplify, transform your activities and give your students some chances for personalization as well as adaptation? Taking a look at this image again, right? We might be engaging our students in the real world in certain ways, trying to transform them into our online teaching, but also going back and forth and really seeing how we can have kind of like a seamless quilt, if you will, of really engaging activities that work whether we're online or in person or both. So get ready to pivot. Remembering always we've got to think about place and time and pace and path. Give your students choice and make sure that we are providing them opportunities for personalization of learning. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. I think we just have a few last words, right, Jared, which is about Learning Moments 2020. What is Learning Moments 2020, you ask? Well, let me tell you. So it's a little bit of a contest. So it's your chance first to be in a professional development book that Jared and I are writing about online English language teaching. And we really want to highlight you, teachers who have had great learning moments online with their students. And this starts in October. And what I want you to do is to reflect and think about how have you been keeping your students motivated and engaged during your online and blended learning lessons? And what teaching tips would you like to share with other teachers? So, after you think of a great learning moment, then share this with us. So one option is you can make a video of yourself sharing the ways that you're keeping your students motivated. Or you could write a description about how you're keeping your students motivated and be sure to include a photo with the description so we can understand what it is you're doing. And then all you have to do is upload it to eltngl.com/learning moments 2020. And Jared and I are the Learning Moments ambassadors. And we will be reading through this and making selections. And we will be highlighting through social media as well as our book some of your best teaching practices so other teachers around the world can learn from you. So please participate.
Thanks so much, Joan and everyone. It starts on October 12th. Like Joan said, we hope you participate. We'd love to see all your learning moments. Great. So as you wrap up, I just have a few last things to mention. First off, immediately following the session, you'll be directed to a survey where you can check your own blended teaching readiness and actually get a personalized report. And at the end of the survey, you'll also be provided with a link to a free online book on blended teaching. So you'll be sent that right after the webinar. So we'd love it if you take some time to fill that out. And also, we will be sending you a recording of the session, the slides, and a certificate for joining us within 5 business days following this webinar. So just please be patient. If you do not get it within 5 business days, you can always contact us at ngl.webinars@cengage.com. And last but not least, we hope you join us again. We're so glad you spent an hour with us. Really hope you found it useful to your teaching practice. It was wonderful to read all of your suggestions and questions and everything coming in the chat. So we'd love to have you join us again. We have several webinars coming up for the next few months to help support you in whatever classroom you're teaching in this fall, whether it's online, it's face-to-face, or a blend of them both. But definitely be sure to join us, and you can subscribe to notifications of new webinars on our site, which is on the screen right now. So great. So thanks all for being part of the National Geographic Learning Teaching community. We're so thankful for all you do, and happy teaching. And thanks to our presenters too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye all.